Hey everyone, and welcome to today's MBTI debrief. My name, of course, is Mary Sumilov. You've probably seen me before, but if you haven't, hi. I'm the personality decoder. I am a certified MBTI practitioner and master integration mentor of Sumilov Academy of Human Integration. I'm here with the joy genius Lisa Payne, who's an Enneagram profiler, emotional archaeologist, and a senior integration mentor with the Sumilov Academy. So what are we talking about today, Lisa?
So today's topic is the power hour. What is it and why should we use it?
Oh, I love the power hour. And I know you and I have had this conversation many a time. But
Yes.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, the power hour is a segment of time from as little as, say, 15 minutes to a full hour at the start of the day, at the start of your day. Or if the start of the day doesn't work for you, if you're not a morning person, you might do it at the end of your day or anywhere in between. But we like to have it at the start of the day because it's way too easy to just kind of fall out of the bed when we have to and then scramble into the day like super unfocused and even feel a bit powerless. So yeah, we like to encourage our listeners and our students to kind of take that power back, take that morning back, take that day back by starting their day with the power hour. I feel like no matter how busy your life is, if you set this time aside at the start of your day, that you'll actually be more productive, more focused, more intentional about living your life. And that's certainly something that's happened for me. No matter how stressed or anxiety-ridden I've been in any given day, if I just sit myself down, do my power hour, and get on with the day, I tend to get the things done that have to be done. But also the level of anxiety tends to lessen because I feel a little bit more in control of my life. What's been kind of like a zoomed out result that you've seen, Lisa, on utilizing the power hour?
Well, the first thing for me is the power hour has the power to set the intention for my day. So it's like turning on a light, and a light on, some particular things that I want to focus on for that day. And with those things in my head, because there's so many other things that run around in my head, it's really easy for me to get off track. So if I do the power hour in the morning, it has the same effect for me, which exercise used to do when I worked in an office. I used to get up and I used to go to the gym first thing in the morning, and then I would go to work.
Yeah.
And so I would feel smug because I'd done my exercise already. So I didn't have to think about it for the entire day. And it also energized me mentally and emotionally. And so what you were saying about empowerment and how empowered you feel when you actually do your power hour, that's how I feel as well. It makes me, it's the focus, and it's like, it's mini accountability in the morning. It's like I'm holding myself accountable to what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And so it's like, okay, here's the focus. Everything else, if I have time, yes. If not, this is what I need to get done today.
Yeah. And shout out to our ADD and ADHD friends out there. Lisa and I, we both know what this is like. The manifestation of the just going down rabbit holes and just moving from one thing to another can be really debilitating. And that's where that personal accountability of at least you start your everyday in this same way, because it does give you a little bit more of that, hey, you pull yourself and kind of go like, no, this, let's focus on this. And it can be a really enjoyable experience. Like you said, with the exercise in the mornings, you feel clearer. And I reckon like any habit that we change or any good habit that we create for ourselves, you only really start reaping the benefits of it at the end of like 30 days, 30 conscious attempts at doing the power hour. And that's when you start to really get the feel-good hormones involved as well, because you've established yourself in that space.
Yep. The consciousness. So the conscious part is the most important part of it. You have to consciously do it, because if you don't consciously do it, then it's easy to say, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later.
Yeah. And when is later? Really? Never.
Never. Absolutely.
And I mean, again, shout out to our night owls here. So you might not do it the first second you get out of the bed. You might set the intent at the end of the day and sleep really well because of it. So, you know, we're not picking on anybody here. And that kind of, yeah, 100%. And that really kind of brings me to the next point, which is a lot of people say, well, I can't prioritize the power hour. I'm too busy. You know, it's impossible. So I hear you. We're all busy. And, you know, whether we have kids or we run businesses that have, you know, many prongs to them, we run, you know, our local group, you know, like social work group or church group or whatever we're doing in our lives, we're all super busy these days. And it's almost a form of art to be able to slow down to even do this, to even carry out this power hour. But what I don't think we want the power hour to give you more pressure. We want it to be more an empowering experience for you. So instead of asking yourself, maybe, you know, can I do this? If we can tweak that a little bit and say, when can I do this? When can I do the power hour? Because you can do it in 10, 15 minutes if you need to. Yeah. And I think that we can all take 10, 15 minutes away from, you know, watching YouTube or TV or worrying. Worrying takes a lot of time and energy. So it becomes that conscious choice of, I'm consciously choosing to do this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you fail, so what? Because you're failing forward, right? One of my kind of failures forward, if you like, in this power hour structure has been feeling emotionally engaged with something else, so that I feel like my emotions are like overriding my capacity to do the power hour. And as we're speaking, I'm facing a couple of personal tragedies. We had to euthanize one of our horses last week. Also, which has given me a severe amount of grief, obviously, you can imagine. This is day 5 for me, you know, where I am, day 5 of occupation or attack by the Russians into Ukraine, which is incredible amount of anxiety that comes from that, not just as a Finnish person who has a border with Russia, not just a person who has plenty of friends in Ukraine and Russia, and nobody wants this actually, but also as a first responder, to know that there are irreversible consequences to what's happening here. And it's hurting my heart. And if that wasn't enough, we have severe weather warning and we're going to be flooded in today. So I need to, when we're finished with this recording, I'm going to need to head out and get some medicine for our animals so that they're covered, because we're anticipating we'll be locked down for 3 days at least.
Right.
That's a lot. So one could say, yeah. So
that's a lot.
So one could say, you know, well, I guess you're not going to do the power hour today. And here we are doing a recording, a version of the power hour. Now, if we
Yeah.
weren't doing this recording, I would be doing it in the car driving to the vets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grabbing that time. I'm not saying, can I do it today? I'm saying, when am I going to do it today? Where am I going to insert myself and take that time for myself? Because anxiety is high, grief is high, shit needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be doing the power hour today because I know the benefits of it. But I've been doing this for years. So of course I know what the benefits are, but I'd like to encourage you, anybody tuning in, if you're kind of saying, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. You won't know if it's worth it unless you do it. Don't take my word for it. Do it for yourself consciously, 30 days at least, to really find out where the benefits start to. You start to see that forward momentum in yourself and in your life in that 30 days, if you choose it consciously. Have you had self-sabotaging spaces with this that you care to share?
Okay, so the first thing I remember with Power Hour is that I tried to do too much. I was making every part of my Power Hour an hour each, and it's like, and then of course I would start to do it, and then for whatever reason, and it some days it happened, and some days it didn't happen quite to plan, and I would call myself a failure. Because I couldn't do 3 hours of a power hour, right?
That's a half day in Sweden, half day of work.
It's ridiculous. It was like, because when you first taught us power hour in the integration mentor program, when I got to that module, I attacked that with gusto. It's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do all of this. I mean, I'll go into later the different things that I was going to do. But I was like, I'm going to do this, and 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 I'm going to do this, right? In one day.
Yeah.
And each thing's going to take, 15 to 20 minutes to half an hour. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. The other thing with it is that I was rigid about it. So like you just said, you can do it here sitting at your desk. You can do it in the car. I would be like, I remember this because I'm one of those get up at 4 o'clock in the morning people. I get up. I know, welcome to the 4 a.m. club. And so I would wake up and I would get to my desk, and everything had to be done at my desk. And if I couldn't do it at my desk, then I wasn't going to do it. So if my mind wandered and I was doing something else, then of course I'm a failure, came back into it. Yeah. So then my 10-year-old would take over, say, well, we can't do this because we're incompetent. So we clearly can't even do like a simple power hour. So therefore, we're not going to do it. So it's her version of just pushing it away because we're not perfect at it, not doing it, not having any of it. So yeah, that's just a few examples of how I started with my power hour. Yes, hour.
Hour. I got it. And that's the other thing too with the power hour is, like if we let our inner children, like our inner child decision maker run it, they're going to be black and white about it, or they're going to be likely to feel victimized by it, because that tends to be the narrative of the inner children until the empowerment of the inner children has been reached, where they really begin to grow and contribute to your life as a part of the inner family in a really positive way. So that is a challenge. If we let our inner children make these decisions, we're probably not going to succeed, at least not on the long term. So it has to come from the grown-ups. It has to come from the adult self or from the inner parent, whoever is your decision maker. So with a little bit about the structure, I think we'll do next.
Yeah.
So there's kind of three main approaches or three main things that we want to put into that power hour, three main aspects that will really build on one another, but also create that positive momentum of focus. And when we do these three different things, they all bring us a really big, it gives us a lot of potential. Now, whether we fulfill that potential or not, that's a whole different conversation. And we'll talk about a little bit about that in the learning unit section of this today's session. But the potential of the power hour is threefold. So firstly, we get to reinforce our chosen direction in life, our focus in our lives. And this activity will help us refocus our intent into ourselves and the things that are important in our lives. So we need to almost like self-establish every day. The second thing that the power hour will do is we learn new things to support that chosen direction. So when we learn new things, we start moving toward the desired outcome. So we have a picture of the outcome, but then the learning process starts us moving toward our desired outcome. And if we keep going with that and doing the things that we've never done before, we keep moving forward. But if we keep doing the things that we've always done before, the results are always the same that we've got before. So we need to do something different and learn. It starts with learning new information and learning skills with that. And thirdly, then we take the time to undertake some of these transformational activities. So we have our vision, we learn new skills, and then we start putting those skills in practice. We start doing things, transformational activities, to then start building the structure of our new lives and our grand vision, if you like. So we can't simply think things into being. We must take action as well. And many think that knowledge is achievement. It's not. And if you, I don't know if you saw it because you've been traveling, I put out a video this morning about 3 lies that life coaches tell you and what to do about it to just kind of bypass all that stuff. And one of the lies that a lot of coaches tell their clients is that, oh, you just need to understand that and then you'll be fine. But that's not actually true. We need to understand, yes, that's the first step. And then we need to, if we want to change things, we need to take action. So to satisfy these kind of 3 requirements for a successful power hour, we have to take 3 activities within that power hour period. Remember, it might be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, not 3 hours, Lisa. And for me, 100%. It's like overachievers anonymous here. I'm only laughing about this because I didn't have all that dissimilar experience for you when I let my 10-year-old take a crack at the power hour.
Absolutely.
So there's 3 different activities that we take within this power hour. Number 1 is captain's orders, and you can do this for 1 minute or 10 minutes, 1 minute to 10 minutes a day. The second thing is strategic learning, and you can do this for 4 minutes to 20 minutes a day. And the third thing is implementation, and you can do this for 9 minutes to 30 minutes a day. And those are like the recommended times. And if you do the bare minimum, you do captain's orders for 1 minute, strategic learning for 4 minutes, implementation for 9 minutes, that already gives us a 15-minute power hour within which you're able to get clear on your direction, learn new things, and then start taking action on it. Remember, it doesn't have to be massive action in order to be valid. It needs to be action, and the power hour needs to reflect on your capacity to actually take those actions. There's no point learning all new things that you're never going to implement, because that's not going to bring you closer to your goal. What are some of the ways that you've structured yours? So, Lisa, I've done the 15-minute, I've done a 10-minute quick power hour. So I've done like, my captain orders are really clear. I feel into them and I say them out loud. It takes me 1 minute. I do strategic learning. I pick up a 3-minute video on my favorite topic that I'm working on and get those tips from there. And then I take like 5 minutes or something to implement, 5-6 minutes to implement that. So I think that's been my quickest power hour, has been 10 minutes. We know about the longer ones that we've covered already here, but what's something that you've done? What's a power hour that you've done if you've been super busy?
What I've done, well, first thing what I try and remember is that every day is a whole day. So it's always a new beginning.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at a weekly schedule and I didn't do something on Monday and therefore I think, oh, well, I might as well not bother on Tuesday or Wednesday or the rest of it. If I look at every single day as a whole day, then I'm not feeling like a failure for what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I can take captain's orders, put them on stickies, and have them on the bathroom mirror, right? So I can keep coming back to them.
Yeah.
And I say them out loud in the mirror. So it becomes a reinforcement each day, and I change them as I need to change them.
Yeah.
Because what I find with me is that if I do the same things all the time, every single day, I get really bored. So I will change things up with that. Strategic learning, the biggest part for me was like when I was doing the 4 People Within course, I would take a part of the course, I would listen to it, and then I would do a couple of the exercises, and then I would spend, so the implementation wasn't 9 to 30 minutes. The implementation was the rest of my day trying to put it into practice.
Okay.
So it's not a concentrated putting it in, it's an all day, so that I am constantly failing forward throughout my day. And then it doesn't feel like a chore because I've chosen to do this.
Yeah.
And when I choose to do it, it seems like something that is completely natural. It's like my 10-year-old says, come on, let's do this, because we decided that this is something that we want to do today. And that's where I can harness my 10-year-old for good.
Excellent.
Rather than evil.
Yeah, and that 10-year-old, especially for us INFJs, will help you with that very willingly, because they're always looking to order things. So they want to try and keep integrating throughout the day and order that new learning into your everyday life. That sounds like a fantastic approach too. So, we're really pointing out here that we don't really, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. You can do it in organized manner, like sitting down, you can do it in the car, you can do it, implement throughout the day. You just need to find the right way for you, and a good place to start is to understand the basic principles. Maybe start with at the beginning of your day and do it like for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour or an hour, and then see how that molds from that, how it becomes more you as you become more you. Awesome. I'd like to jump a little bit more deeply into the 3 different parts before we wrap up for today's debrief. I'm going to talk a little bit about the captain's orders first. Then I'm going to ask you a question, and then while you're talking, I'm going to go and get a cup of coffee, because I am highly strained at the moment. So I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to fulfill my needs whilst we're still creating this incredible value certainly for myself. I'm finding this very valuable, and I hope for our listeners as well. So let's start with captain's orders. So captain's orders are like these directions that we want to give to our subconscious mind, so that the subconscious mind looks for opportunities on our behalf throughout the day or in that moment that we're doing, creating, utilizing the power hour. So we want to keep the orders positive because those of you who know about the negativity bias, we've talked about that in different programs, I think we've touched on it on another debrief or a learning unit before and so on. But the negativity bias states that if you're given 10 pieces of feedback, one is negative, then the rest is positive. We're going to really zoom in on that negative a piece, and then once we've opened that negative drawer, it's easier to start opening other negative drawers in our lives. So we don't want to go down that road with the captain's orders, because we can create a lot of negativity in our lives by just doing that on a subconscious level. Remember, the conscious mind is like the captain. So the conscious mind gets to choose the direction of the ship, and the subconscious mind is the crew that says, aye, sir, or aye, ma'am, and they get it done. They take the ship where we're saying we want to go. So if we're not consciously choosing the direction that we want to go, our subconscious mind cannot help us get there. So we want to keep our orders positive because the subconscious mind or the crew doesn't differentiate between positive and negative thoughts. So if we feed negative thoughts to the crew, they will fulfill them. If we feed positive thoughts to the crew, they will fulfill those as well. So the crew doesn't care. It's all about the leadership. Another common word for captain's orders is affirmations. Now, many think about affirmations as some kind of new agey hoo-ha, completely missing the point that it's not just about the positive thinking. Captain's orders are about rearranging your relationship with your subconscious mind. It's about rewiring your subconscious mind for the more positive. So Lisa, I want to ask you on this one, because I think this is a really important point, this positive versus negative. Can you give us an example, a real life example from your life for when you fed positive or when you fed negative orders to your crew, and what was the end result there?
Mm-hmm. You're going to go get your, okay, I was just going to check that you're going to get your coffee now. So when I was, before I started working with the 4 people within, every order that I fed myself was negative. I would go into things with a defeatist attitude. I would go in and I would be doomed before I even started. And then I would wonder why things weren't going right. It was because I was looking for reasons for them not to go right. And when I started doing the 4 people within, and I started to change the questions that I asked myself, and because what would happen when I would be negative with myself and go in with negative captain's orders, afterwards my 10-year-old would be like, how could you be so stupid? How could you not do that in this way? What else did you think would happen? So when I started to, yeah, it was, you know, and being in Enneagram 1, self-flagellation for the win, you know. Nobody is ever going to beat me up harder than I beat myself up, right? Yeah. So mentally. And when I started the 4 people within, it's like, okay, ask different questions going in. Right. So what you were saying earlier about when can I do the captain's order? So let's say like now you have a really busy day. It's like, when can I do it? And also, how can I do it? Because I've been speaking to my clients about this a lot. What we're looking to do with those new neural pathways, the way I put it into something that people can actually see, is I say, you're going down this path, and this path is so well worn that it's been concreted over. It's really easy to go from one part to the other. It's your go-to thing. As soon as A happens, then B. You're going straight down this path.
Yeah.
What we're looking to do is we're looking to create a new path. And this path is so overgrown with trees, and it hasn't been paved or anything. So we're having to go down it with a machete to first clear the path.
Yeah.
And then slowly start to pave it so that the path that we used to go down then becomes the overgrown one and is not the go-to path anymore, because we can't get down it anymore. And then the new neural pathway is then where we go down. So when I start asking myself, it's like, okay, so what do you want to do? And then I tell myself the things that I want to do, and then I do the reverse engineering. And actually the affirmations part becomes almost the first part of the whole thing, because I have to tell myself that at first that I choose to do it. Yeah. And if I don't believe it, then I have to put in other parts to the statement to get me from that overgrown path to get me to the new one. And then when I get down the new path and I'm doing it regularly, then I can tear up the old affirmation that has gotten me to the I am willing to do
to the crossroads,
right?
Yeah.
Yes, to I am doing this. Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. And we'll cover a little bit about those kind of filler words. They're not really filler words. They're more like directive words disguised as filler words a little bit later. But that's such a good point. It's like, your I like that path, slashing with the machete to discover the new path and go for it and let the other one overgrow. And there's that whole point of, reorienting yourself initially and then slashing, and then you're going to need a new set of captain's orders for when you're down that new path, because you don't know what you're going to encounter, and you find all kinds of treasures there. So that's awesome.
Treasures, yeah.
A lot of the time and I just want to kind of go back a little bit onto the kind of the positive thinking, or the affirmations piece here. Positive thinking and affirmations kind of drives us to make statements that some parts of us know that may be out of our reach a little bit. Whereas captain's orders are all about focusing on what we can reach, and then making those statements believable for ourselves is actually what gets us there. So there's no point saying, oh, by the end of this month, or no, sorry, it's actually start of the month, by the 15th of this month, I'm going to be a millionaire, or I'm a millionaire by the 15th of February, whatever, March or whatever it is. And if you don't actually believe that that's what's going to happen, nothing wrong with being a millionaire by the middle of the month. That's all good. But you need to believe that you actually can be that. And if there's a part of you that is not willing to believe that, like for me, it's my 10-year-old inner child. When I set something that's not exactly right, my 10-year-old goes like, good luck with that. And so we want to keep it believable. And here's where the inverted commas filler words come in. So we could adjust that captain's order to say, I am willing to learn what I need to learn to become a millionaire. Now, I mean, if you're not willing to learn, then don't say that, because that's a lie too. But saying I'm willing to learn. So you're bringing in, I'm willing to learn to do this. I'm willing to discover how to do this. I'm willing to give myself a permission to become this at some stage. So you're softening. You're not going for the end of that new track without necessarily even knowing what's there. Because you might think that you want to be a millionaire right now, but then what happens when people know that you're a millionaire? They're going to come to you and they're going to ask for money. Do you want that to be a part of your experience? So we want to start embracing more gradual progress toward our goals, so that we don't try to go there too fast, so that we don't then overlook the things that also come with the baggage that comes with those goals. So we can't not believe our goals. So we have to be believing our goals, our captain's orders. And it's also a good thing to slow them down a little bit. For example, for a disorganized person, an affirmation of saying, I am organized, just doesn't ring true. It's just not true. So instead of trying to deceiving yourself and then give yourself mixed messages or give the crew mixed messages, why not change it to, I'm willing to learn how to be organized, or I'm willing to learn new ways of being organized. That's usually a lot more available for the person. So Lisa, you gave a really good example of utilizing these words a little bit differently. So making it accessible, making the captain's order accessible for yourself, instead of going for something that within yourself that's not actually true, or that's not right. But there are times when we don't mean to, but we do create a more negative space in our lives than is necessary. And so, for example, we can have that time when there's somebody's not nice to us, right? And we jump into a conclusion that they don't like us. And every one of us have at some point done this, where we talked ourselves into believing that someone doesn't like us. And then when we speak to ourselves in this way, our subconscious mind activates and starts looking for those times when they don't like us. So looking for more of the evidence. And only when we're proven wrong do we then start challenging these thoughts. So I'll give you a personal example. Like I see, because I have good boundaries, right? Now I have good boundaries. I didn't used to. So if you're listening to this and saying, well, good for you, I don't. Next. I've been there. I get it, But so there is light at the end of the tunnel for everyone. If I can do it, everybody can. But now I have good boundaries. And I was having dinner with two of my friends the other night. They're a couple, and they started bickering at the table. And they both tried to make their point of view the right point of view for me. And I looked at them and I said, well, I see your perspective because it's this, and I validated their perspective. And I see your perspective because it's this, and I'm validating their perspective. And neither one of them wanted to validate each other's perspective. And then they said, but it's like this, what do you think? And I said, well, what I think is that you guys aren't on the same page. I don't even care about what the topic is. You're just, you're wanting to be right, and that's your prerogative. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to this for much longer. So unless we are happy to move on, I'm sorry, guys, I love you, but I'm not doing this, because this is nothing to do with me, and don't try to enroll me into this, right? And I remember having a similar experience before with that, where people thought that I hated their guts, that I thought they were less than, right? And I didn't lose those relationships, but it took a long time for them to come back and kind of feel comfortable with me again, because they felt told off, and they felt like, I was being unreasonable, and they felt like I didn't like them, which isn't true. I really like them. But this couple, this time, no problem. That was only a couple of days ago. And then yesterday I called them because we have the severe weather coming in. They have property just up here, but they live in Sydney. And I said, hey, anything you need for the property? No, it's all good. Oh, thank you very much. She was checking in with me, how I was feeling with everything that had been going on in the last week. And so we had a really quick conversation. No problems whatsoever. Nobody thinking that anybody hates anybody. none of that, right? And it was such a great contrast
Yeah.
for me personally that I was dealing with mature people who were able to say, you know what, yeah, fuck this. This is not the time or place for this. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Have you had an example of this where either you've kind of thought that somebody hates you or that this has happened to you?
Have I? Again, pre the 4 People Within work and pre MBTI work, I used to think that I couldn't get angry with someone because if I got angry with them, they would hate me and they would break off the relationship. And so what I would do in anticipation is I would get really angry and break off the relationship myself.
I hear you.
Cutting off my nose to spite my face. And now I can have conversations with people and I don't make for that particular part, I don't let my 3-year-old run the show because it's a 3-year-old lack of nuance in that this leads to this. If they are angry at me or I am angry at them, that means our relationship is over.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I've interpreted something that somebody said as our relationship is over. And then I will go back to them the next day to say something and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's not over. It's a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I used to work myself up into such a tizzy about the whole thing that I would then avoid the person and then make the relationship maybe not over, but make it strained. And I didn't know how to be anything else. And now it's direct communication, just like you did with your friends. Yeah. And I don't make it mean anything. I don't make what I'm saying or what they're saying mean anything. It's a difference of opinion. We all have difference of opinions at different time. And most people don't hold that over you. Like,
That's right.
Like some sort of tool or something that they're like a hammer that they're gonna beat you with. It's just like, okay, difference of opinion. We go back to our respective corners. Yeah. We think about it. We come back together. We either discuss it or we agree to disagree, and that's fine. And then my inner 3-year-old is satisfied because she can see the evidence that the relationship is not over.
Right. So it continued. Yeah.
Yes.
So with those examples, I think that our listeners can really feel into what a productive captain's order is. It's we need to be conscious about how much negativity or positivity we bring into our day through these captain's orders. So so it's really important to keep moving, even when it's hard and even when it's triggering you, us in different situations, to keep moving forward and have that trust that, if you have a relationship that breaks down because you got angry, then perhaps that wasn't a relationship that was going to last anyway. And, so let's be clear on what we want to go. So one of the kind of captain's orders for relationships could be, I have honest and open relationships with people where we come together to create, meaningful times together. Or, I am willing to learn how to do this, if you need to just shift it a little bit.
Yeah, I am willing to learn how to have open and honest communication so that my relationships improve. Because what that does is it opens your mind to different areas. It's not a closed statement. It's not an either or. Yeah. There are so many things in this. Oh, okay, I'm willing to do. Oh, look, here's a book. Because when you open your mind, that all these opportunities start to present themselves of how you can actually do the thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's almost like, if you're in that ship, you're in that going from one port to another, and you have a captain who is open-minded and gives the crew a permission to veer off course if there's a storm coming. Now you're not going to hit the storm head on, instead, unless you have to. Instead, you're going to go through calmer waters, and your whole journey is going to be much more pleasurable, and you'll get to the destination safe. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Let's do a little bit on strategic learning and implementation as well. I don't want to take as much time with these ones as we did with the captain's orders, because the captain's orders can be quite etheric and big, and they are the ones that really set the intent. And the strategic learning and the implementation, they're a lot more direct line, and they don't have to be so, they're not a massive concept to grasp. So strategic learning is all about learning something new that is related to your life's visions and your aspirations. So those captain's orders. So the purpose of the strategic learning is to engage our conscious mind and the intent about our lives to give us ideas on some strategically actionable tasks that surges our life forward toward that goal that we want to see. This strategic learning can be used for learning new skills, new approaches, or new perspectives on a topic that will make our lives feel more complete, or that will propel us forward toward our goals. So we have a couple of tools that we use with strategic learning. We use a transformational to-do tasks list, and we use a transactional to-do list. And when it comes to strategic learning, we want to utilize the transformational list. So there's a difference between transformational tasks in your life and transactional tasks in your life. And transactional tasks are things like taking out the rubbish, walking the dog. Now, walking the dog could be transformational as well, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. Doing the dishes, getting the dry cleaning. So those are all kind of transactional tasks that anybody can do, right? Anybody can do. You don't have to do it. They don't necessarily relate to your life's goal. Then there are transformational tasks. And those tasks are things like the power hour, like, asking for a promotion at work, or learning a new skill for work that will give you a promotion, or studying a topic that you're really interested in. Or it could be listening to a podcast while you're walking the dog. So you can see how it's, so a podcast that's actually bringing you closer to your life's purpose. So the transformational things are things that only you can do. You can't really delegate those things. So when it comes to strategic learning, we want to utilize strategic learning on your transformational list of tasks. We don't want to try and make the transactional things more strategic because somebody else can do those. And you don't want to learn to do the wrong things better, the things that don't bring you closer to your goal. You want to learn to become better at the things that will bring you toward your goal. Okay? So when we start with the transformational to-do list, we pick an item that we choose to study. And basically the study is to try and make that task more effective, for us to become more efficient in carrying out the task. And if we already know a good way of carrying out that task, we want to find out even better way. So let me use this power hour as an example. So we're going meta here, right?
Okay.
So you might go, I'm going to sit down for an hour every morning and do my power hour. And that's one of your transformational list items. Now, you might be like Lisa and discover because your subconscious mind is open through your captain's orders. And one of your captain's orders might be, I'm willing to learn a better way of doing my power hour, or I'm willing to learn a better way of, more effective way of living my life. So now the crew, your subconscious mind is kind of going like, what if we did the power hour, the implementation stage throughout the day instead of in that block of time? So now you've discovered a better way to do your power hour. And that's what the strategic learning is all about. When you learn different ways of doing the power hour, or different ways that your cognitive functionalities operate, then you can make better decisions about everything you do throughout your day, including the power hour. Yeah. Do you, Lisa, have an example of this where you've utilized the strategic learning to become better at something that you're already good at, or just learning something like a transformational approach in your life?
Yep. The first thing I want to also make clear is it's up to each individual to decide what is transformational and what is transactional for them. Because when I was depressed back in 2017, I could put on my list that not getting out of bed, but making my bed, anybody could do that. However, it was incredibly important that I did that, because it was a sign of my mental health. When I could actually do so, being able to differentiate and personalize it to yourself, I think is the first thing, because my power hour is not your power hour, and vice versa. Yeah. And how I started, because it's something I've done all my life, it became easier for me to put it into the power hour, is I've always utilized learning. So I've always been listening to podcasts, to audiobooks, reading articles and things like that. Do that on the way to work, on the train, when I actually commuted on the train, and then spend the rest of the day implementing it and talking to other people, utilizing my FE and my NI, talking to other people and gathering more information about this particular thing. And in subtle and sometimes subconscious ways, or even unconscious ways, I would be revising as I go along. As I get a little bit more information, I just change a little bit the way in which I do this. Something else gives me pause for thought, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I come back to it the next day, then I'm like, okay, well, now I have this information, and now I can implement it in this way. I think with INFJs in general, and I'm only going to speak for INFJs because I am an INFJ, is that we do a lot of this automatically, and we don't name it. Yeah. And so creating a power hour can be simpler than we thought, because we're incorporating things that we already do. What we're doing is we're focusing those particular things instead of them just being random rabbit holes that we go down.
Exactly. So we're becoming more intentional about the things that we do already do throughout the day.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a really good comment or point about making the bed. I mean, I actually believe everybody should make their own bed, because if the rest of your day goes to shit, at least when you go to bed, you go like, oh, look at that bed that's made.
Yep, that I made, yes. Yeah.
So, but nobody else gets to decide what's transformational, what's transactional for you. Only you know what the reasons for you are behind you doing particular tasks. But just be aware of the fact that busy work, just keeping yourself busy because you don't want to feel your feelings or like that's what I've been doing for the last week, is not transformational. Yes. It will give you anxiety, and it doesn't help you deal with the emotions. Although it can delay the grief process, which can also be good for just management. So you get to choose. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the implementation, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So the implementation time in the Power Hour is when we take those learnings and then we, from the strategic learning section of the Power Hour, and put that into action. So there's no point thinking about things and just talking about things. Success actually requires action. That's just a fact energetically, that's a fact of life. So many think that unless we take massive action, there's no change, but that's also not true. So yes, we need to take action, but we don't have to take massive action to be these heroic people who get everything they want in their lives in the next 10 days. That's not usually not even sustainable. That's not usually even a sustainable model. So we should never underestimate the power of taking small actions consistently. You're actually better off just improving your life 1% per day than to try and change everything about your life in 1 month. So teaching ourselves to take consistent small steps conditions us to start moving forward toward our goals, no matter what else is going on in our lives. And that's certainly true for me today. I'm going to take small steps today. So when our mind is clear, our body tends to follow us where we want to go. And we tend to be able to relax into the experience of life. And when we integrate each part of us around our purposeful life, we can get there. So bringing the 4 people within together within this Power Hour framework, and then having all those 4 people pulling on the same rope consistently will bring us to the life's vision, and it makes us stronger as well as a unit. So when there's a will, there is certainly a way. Personal implementation story. I love what you've talked about, the implementing throughout the day, Lisa. For me, it works best if I implement in the moment. So I do this when I do my Power Hour. I have specific boxes that I tick once I've done it for this, for that, the other. But I work really well with lists. So when I have a specific topic that I'm learning about, so there are a couple of things that I've been learning about recently, in terms of business. One of them is a lot to do with the team cohesion and bringing the different parts together. So for me, the implementation starts with creating a list of that topic and to which other activities does that topic change then affect. So I might have, communication. I want us to communicate this way. And then I need to create a list. Okay, with this person, this means this. With this person, this means this. In relation to this course, it means this. For this group of students, it means this. And then I go in my implementation time, I go one by one and create a working procedure. And that's how I operate. So I need to do it there, and then I refer throughout the day. I refer back to my working procedure. Hey, I want to do this like this going forward. Here's the working procedure for it. You can refer to it, so it's clear for everybody. Kind of who need to subscribe to the changes that we're creating. So what about you? Can you give us another juicy implementation story?
This is going to be really, really quick. It's a quote that I've heard. And the person was saying, people ask me how I'm motivated all the time. And they said, I'm not motivated. I'm consistent. I consistently do things. And so it's the consistency, which looks like to the outside world motivation. So that goes back to the making it 1% better, 1%, 1%, 1%. So being consistent and keep going no matter what will make it better. And it helps you get to, helps me get to wherever it is that I want to go. So that is my quick, motivational, insightful wisdom nugget. Consistency.
Awesome. Drop that nugget. And I want to echo on that, because Mae West said what's worth doing is worth doing slowly. So that's not to say don't take action. It's to say any small improvement today, if it becomes consistent and if you implement it, if you make one small improvement a day, in a year's time, you're going to be in a whole different place.
Absolutely.
All
and
right.
It's the tortoise and the hare all over again.
Tortoise and the hare.
It's the consistency.
All day long. Nice. Well, thank you, Lisa. Let's leave it at that for today for this debrief.
Okay.
And we'll continue. You and I will continue on the learning unit that's going to be available on this topic at sumilof.com. So I hope that you tuning into this debrief today, that you got a solid understanding of what the Power Hour is and what it can do for us. So if you do want to take a deeper dive into implementing your Power Hour today, you can join us at sumilof.com at the Academy. And there you'll find this debrief as well as the learning unit attached to it. If you're a member already, all you have to do is log on, sumilof.com. And if you are not already a member and you want to request a membership with a 30-day money-back guarantee, you can absolutely just head on over sumilof.com and then follow the process for requesting to join. So Lisa, thank you so very much for this particular debrief. I'm loving it. And I can't wait to see what our faculty at the Academy at sumilof.com are coming up with, what kind of captain's orders that we're going to be covering more in depth in the learning unit that they're going to come up with. How are they going to take the goal or the vision that they have right now and take it forward? And I hope that was helpful for everybody tuning in today as well. Lisa, I'll give you the final words for today's podcast episode.
I think consistency for the win in your Power Hour. Decide what you want it to be. If it's not working for you, fail forward, revise, do things in a different way, and eventually you'll find the formula that works for you. And then the formula will work for a while, and then you'll need to change it. And that's what life is. Life is constant change. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Lovely. Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. I'll see you at the learning unit, and everybody else will see you at the next debrief. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.